the Planning Commission Chair, Kirby Wells, and I'd like to first welcome everybody and appreciate you joining our meeting this evening. I'd like to make clear for the record that this meeting, and it should be reflected in the minutes, that this Planning Commission meeting of September 17th, 2020 will be conducted pursuant to Governor Newsom's Executive Order N as in Nancy 2920. The meeting will be held via teleconference, and the Planning Commission members will participate via teleconference. These locations are not listed on the agenda and are not accessible to the public. The public is encouraged to listen to the City Council meeting live on Woodland TV Channel 20, and also by going to the City of Woodland website at www.cityofwoodland.org/meetings. If you'd like to make a comment during the general public comment or on a specific agenda item, there are 3 ways to do that. First, members of the public are invited to leave a voicemail message at area code 530-661-5900. Again, 530-661-5900. All voicemail messages received by 6:30 today will be played during a Planning Commission meeting as part of the record at the appropriate time. Again, 530-661-5900. Second, any member of the public watching the live stream who wishes to make a comment on an item as it is being heard may submit an email to the following email address prior to public comment on an issue. That email address is planningcommissionmeetings@thecityofwoodland.org. Again, planningcommissionmeetings@thecityofwoodland.org. If you email, please include the agenda item in the subject line. Third, you can participate via the Zoom meeting. You will find a link to the Zoom webinar meeting in the Planning Commission agenda that is posted online. The webinar ID is listed on the webpage as well. The webinar ID is 921-7009-5836. Or you may access Zoom via phone by dialing area code 669-900-6833 and then putting in the webinar ID. Once again, that is 921-7009-5836. Please note, all comments are limited to no more than 3 minutes. If we have both an email and an individual who is on the webinar, the email will be read up to the 3-minute time limit, and we will not take public comments so that we treat everybody fairly and stay to that 3-minute time frame. Jay will have our time clock, so you'll see that on your screen. So please limit yourself to stay within the 3-minute time frame. If emails are longer than 3 minutes, we'll read the full content up to 3 minutes, or if you submitted both a voicemail and email, the voicemail will run up to 3 minutes. With that, we'll have a roll call. So, Commission Secretary, it would now be appropriate for you to conduct roll call. Each member must identify themselves during roll call. So, Cindy, could you lead us off with that?
Thank you, Chairman Wells. I would like to now conduct roll call. Commissioner Harris is absent by an excused absence. Commissioner Holt.
Present.
Commissioner Hurst.
Present.
Vice Chair Lizarraga.
Present.
Commissioner Lopez.
Present.
Chairperson Wells.
Present.
Commission Member Wong. To record that Commissioner Wong is not present. So we do have a quorum with 5 members.
Okay. Thank you, Cindy. I would now like to request that each member of the commission respond to these questions. Again, I need a verbal confirmation. Commissioner Holt, can you hear me well?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Commissioner Hurst?
Yep.
Vice Chair Lizarraga?
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez?
Yep.
Okay, wonderful.
Audio, good video.
Does each member of the commission have a copy of the agenda for this meeting? Again, the agenda is visible on the screen. Again, please respond individually. Commissioner Holt?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Hurst?
I do.
Commissioner Lizraga?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Lopez?
No, I didn't print it out.
Okay, but you can see it on your screen, right?
Yeah, it's in front of me. So yes.
Okay, and Commission Secretary Cindy, have you posted the agenda at a location reasonably accessible to the public?
Yes, we have.
The record should reflect that 5 commission members are present for this teleconference and indicated that they're able to hear the proceedings. At this time, I'm requesting that other city officials introduce themselves and their positions so that the record can reflect their attendance.
Thank you. Cindy Norris, Principal Planner. And we have Anna Canales, Assistant Planner.
Excellent.
And we also, sorry.
I'd also like to acknowledge Jay Kimura, who's with the Information Technology Division. He will be assisting in managing the Zoom meeting and public comment portion of the meeting. And he's done this the whole way along, and we greatly appreciate all the help that Jay has given to the commission to make this flow as well as it has, as well as the other staff. Okay, now as we go through agenda, I would request before speaking that you clearly identify yourself each time. For example, this is Commissioner Holt, etc. Let the individual speak, and please do not interrupt. I would also ask that to the greatest extent possible, everyone mute their phones or devices when not actively speaking so we don't get unnecessary background noise or echoes. I would now like to advise all commission members and the commission secretary that any votes taken during the teleconference portion of the meeting must be taken by roll call. At this time, I would like to ask Commissioner Holt and if he would unmute his microphone and he would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Hand over your chest, right hand, and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the nation for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Chris. Okay, first I'd like to request whether any member of the commission or staff wishes to make a statement and or request that is not on items on the agenda this evening. So we'll start with Commissioner Holt. Any comments or new items for us to discuss, Chris?
No, sir.
Okay. Commissioner Hurst?
No.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't get close to the mic fast enough.
You're good. Vice Chair Lizraga?
No comment, sir.
Okay. Commissioner Lopez?
Nothing.
Okay. And I have nothing.
Actually, I have some too.
Okay, I'm sorry?
I have some comments.
And who is that? Oh, Cindy.
Yes.
Cindy, go ahead.
Thank you very much. First of all, to those who are attendees on this call, I'd like to just remind you that when you are, if you're on the Zoom, you can just indicate if you want to speak by clicking, your hand. If you're on the phone, you can use *9. So there's 3 items that I'd like to just report on to the commission. First of all, it has to do with I'm sure you've noticed that we have these new parklets on Main Street, Las Barajas, Father Patty's, and El Charro. We potentially believe that House of Shaw will follow. There's other businesses like Burger Saloon who are also expanding their sidewalk dining. And I'd like to give kudos to the Economic Development Department for facilitating this and the requirements to allow this to occur and, moving quickly on this. And I'd actually also like to thank Kirby Wells. I think you were also instrumental in helping with some of the insurance aspects. So anyway, it's been very successful on Main Street. So the other item I'd like to speak about, you may have noticed a little bit of change in the front of City Hall if you've had a chance to come by. So the city's front yard basically is undergoing sheet mulching. And this is in preparation for putting in a pollinator and water-wise landscaping this fall. So as you know, the city of Woodland is a Bee City USA affiliate. And so the city is going to transfer the front area. We are removing the lawn and, we'll put in a beautiful water-wise and, like I said, landscaping, hopefully this fall. So, and then the last item I want to talk about has to do with a program or called JAPA. And so what this is, the city is doing a pilot program that started on September 15th. And what this includes is approximately 150 smart meter sensors, and they've been installed on Main Street between 3rd and College, on 1st between Main and Court, and in the public parking lot across from City Hall. And what they look like, they are discs about this big. They're black discs that are in the pavement, and it has sensors in it. And you can download the JAPA, J-A-P-A, smartphone app. And what this will show is in real time, it'll show data available regarding unoccupied parking spaces. And so part of the reason for this, the city is utilizing this so that they can for data collection, also to help those who are seeking parking, in and around the downtown, and also to analyze utilization and parking demand. So anyway, great things happening in the downtown, even with closures and some of the problems that we've had. So that's it for me.
Thank you, Cindy. And I'll just kind of tag on to your line. I was going to add that kind of comment about the parklets on the back of our comments tonight. But I'll tell you, the City of Woodland and our staff, and especially the Economic Development Group, moved very quickly. Were very responsive, and I think did really a yeoman's job of getting through all of the issues and helping these businesses get this accomplished. Kind of one example is at the Father Patty's facility. I know that Ken Hyatt was instrumental in getting the kind of the AstroTurf that's used there, and so a lot of people came together to make those parklets economically feasible for the small businesses, and it just really did a great job. So kudos to the staff that did a great job on that and the responsiveness. Okay, moving on.
Chair, I'm sorry, may I ask a question?
Yes, Chris, go ahead.
Cindy, are the parklets, are those permanent, semi-permanent, or temporary? What is the duration for those? I know they're taking up some valuable parking spots on Main Street, but I think they really bring a lot more life to that area. I'd like to see if we consider them semi-permanent or permanent, depending on how they hold up.
I think that's a good point, and I think it remains to be seen as to how they will transpire into the future. I think they've been very positive, and it really enlivens the Main Street.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Okay, coming back, Chris, you might as well keep your microphone unmuted. Any subcommittee reports, Chris?
No, sir.
Okay. And since Commissioner Harris is out, obviously no subcommittee reports on cannabis. Okay, Cindy, any communications from the public on items other than what's before us on our agenda tonight?
We do have a couple of emails, but they are related to the one of the projects,
Okay.
and there are no.
Okay, good. Okay, first item of business tonight is the approval of minutes. So this item includes minutes from the August 20th, 2020. It's a lot of 20s in there. Do any commissioners have any comments or edits that need to be made? And let me go down the list. Commissioner Holt?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Hurst?
No.
Thank you. Vice Chair Lizarraga?
None from here.
Okay. Commissioner Lopez?
Nope.
Okay, and no comment from me. Do I have a motion to approve?
I so move.
Okay, motion by Vice Chair Lizarraga. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Chris Holt. Okay, now we'll go down for yay or nay, or abstain. Commissioner Holt?
Yay.
Okay, Commissioner Hurst?
Yay.
Vice Chair Lizarraga?
Aye.
Okay, Commissioner Lopez?
Aye.
Okay, and I am yes, so the motion passes unanimously, obviously with our absentee members not voting. Okay. Next item, we're going to have staff present items that we're going to hold before our public hearing. And so would like to ask, we'll go through this process is staff will present the project to us, and then we will go through a series of questions from any of the commissioners to clarify. We will then open a public hearing and invite the public to share their comments with us. After those comments are completed, we will bring it back to the commission for any additional clarification questions. And at that point, then we will either make a motion and vote on the project, or it will go back to staff. So with that, the first item that we have for our planning commission tonight is the let's see, which one is this one? This is the, Cindy, can you help me out with this? This one is the
Tentative subdivision map for Beagley Ranch.
There we go. Thank you. Yeah, so that's item PC 2012. Cindy, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair and members of the Planning Commission. Again, I'm Cindy Norris, Principal Planner. So tonight the Planning Commission is being asked to consider the following request by Tim Lewis Homes and Fieldstone Consulting for a proposed development project on 2 parcels of land with associated tentative subdivision maps of 5196 and 5197. The project proposes to construct a small lot single-family development project on both sites, 62 units on Lot D and 10 units on Lot G. The proposed project is an HOA, Homeowners Association-based proposal with private alley driveways. Due to the nature of this type of project with the private streets, as I mentioned, there is a need for a homeowners association. The association will be responsible for collecting fees to maintain the internal streets and landscaping and the perimeter landscaping adjacent to the streets in the back of the lot. The HOA will be responsible for managing the rules and conditions within the project, including any restrictions that are added. Other entitlements to this project application include a plan development overlay, site plan design review, and a development agreement. So this slide shows the overall Spring Lake specific plan land use map. What you also can see on this map, the colors depict the land use and actually relate to density. The lighter colors indicate lower density projects, and as the color goes up, whether orange, dark orange, or brown, that indicates higher density land uses. So the 2 parcels in question are highlighted here in red. There is the Beagley Lot D and the Beagley Lot G. Lot D is a 5-acre parcel at the northwest corner of Parkland Avenue and Marston Road. Lot G is a 0.9-acre parcel located in the lower southeast corner of Heritage Parkway and Parkland Avenue. So the existing zoning under the Spring Lake specific plan for both of these parcels is currently what's called R15. And R15 allows a density, project density between 10 to 15 dwelling units per acre. On Lot D, The maximum allowed number of units at the maximum density would be 75 units, and on Lot G it would be 13 units. Both of these parcels were created previously and included as remainder parcels in the previous tentative map for the overall larger Beagley tentative subdivision map, which was approved in 2004. The previous development as part of that Beagley Ranch project included the D.R. Horton Solara Ranch homes to the west, as well as the Centex homes to the east. Both project sites were assigned assumed density as part of the previous map and entitlement. 75 units were assigned to Lot D and 10 units were assigned to Lot G. The sites are both considered infill development sites. They are surrounded by single-family subdivisions. And when those adjacent subdivisions were being built, those projects added curb, gutter, sidewalk, streetlights to these remainder sites in order to prepare them for future infill development. Privacy perimeter fencing was added around Lot G. However, Lot D would be required to construct any required privacy fencing along Parkside Avenue. As shown in the slide, both sites are surrounded by existing development. There's south of Lot D, you have R5 and R4 development in the Oyang project is currently under development at this time, as well as R5 homes to the, it's R4 and R3 to the south and R5 around to the west and east of Lot D. To Lot G, you have, to the east, you have the R5. To the north, there's R8, and there's another R15 site, which is the Rochdale Grange. And then there are a couple of sites that are high-density residential, as well as a commercial site, which is shown in pink, around the curve of Parkland Avenue. So I'd like to provide a little more background information about the Spring Lake specific plan. It was approved in 2001, and at the time of approval, it assumed a build out of 4,038 units. And it was assumed that this would all build out by 2015. However, the recession happened in 2007, 2008, and at that time, land dropped in value. And, builders were able to move forward with developing homes, but what was the attractive home to build was actually the single-family homes, which could be available, larger lots at accessible prices at that time. However, in general, there was a reduction in building for years, both in Woodland as well as in California. And California and this area were struggling with a significant housing shortage of homes. This is further exacerbated by the high market costs right at this time. And as you're probably aware, the state has passed many pieces of legislation in the last couple of years in an attempt to address the housing crisis. And the effect really has been to reduce local review constraints and control over projects. In fact, a bill that was passed in the last few years that effectively removed the city's ability to downzone land. So back to the Spring Lake specific plan. In 2001, when the plan was approved, the plan designers chose to locate multifamily sites along the project perimeters or along primary roadways in order to facilitate transit access, as well as providing access to amenities such as schools and parks. Further, the goal of the plan was to provide a variety of housing options in order to integrate housing affordable to all income groups within the plan area. Also, early in the Spring Lake plan design, the thought was that multifamily units could be clustered in small groupings of 10 units. 3 of these units actually were built in earlier phases of the plan. You can see them, they're little small groups. There's actually another one. However, the city council, after seeing the results, the city council determined that it was really better to scatter the location of the affordable units. So as far as history, Lot G, the smaller lot, was actually approved as a 100% affordable site. So while the early cluster location of the site remains at Lot G, the affordable units will be scattered over the two project sites. Also, the product type that's being proposed in this application is actually similar to projects that are being built throughout the region and that have been available previously. Woodland has a project, Stonehaven, that is a similar type of project to this, like this. But Woodland actually has seen less because of the availability of lower density land to develop prior to this. So as a final piece of background information, the reason this project is before you is because the applicant has chosen to subdivide the land into individual lots for sale. Should they have chosen to develop this as a multi-unit project on a single lot consistent with the allowed density and standards, it would be a by right approval, subject only to site plan and design review. So I'd like to provide a little bit of context information for each site. This is a context map showing the lot proposal for Lot D, superimposed on an aerial so you can get a feel for how it will fit in amongst the existing properties there. There are 2 points of access, one to the south off Marston Drive, and that driveway is actually already there, and one to the west from Hunt Street. Home facades will face the streets along Marston and Hunt, in the back, and they will back or side on to Parkland Avenue, because there will also be a perimeter wall in that area. The front-facing homes will have an access walk to the public sidewalk, but there will be no driveways. So the street facade will have a significant amount of landscaping as a result in less paving. The project proposes internal driveways with on-site parking. Each home proposes 2-car garages, which is accessed from the internal alleys. Internally, homes either face an internal paseo or a common area, which is identified as Lot A. As I've already mentioned, the homeowners association will be required to maintain all of the public landscaping and the streets and common areas. The same homeowners association will cover both lots D and Lot G. So this slide is just some shots of the existing conditions out there. The top slide illustrates the existing condition with homes and the existing fencing. The middle slide is a shot of Hunt Street, looking basically from the corner, almost the corner of Marston and Hunt, looking to the north. And the bottom slide is, as you can see, I'm standing at the corner, and then this is a shot of looking east. You can see Marston Drive, and you can see that there is a fairly significant landscape area with a walkway and fencing. So the condition is that there are no homes that have reasonable access or ease of access to this side of Marston. So parking actually is available on both sides of the street. So moving on to Lot G. This is a context map for Lot G. This project proposes 10 lots consistent with the prior approval from 2004. The units are accessed from a private internal driveway. The lots will each have a two-car garage, and in most instances, a driveway that will accommodate 1 to 2 parking, on-site parking spaces. So similar, this site is a remainder parcel and has the perimeter infrastructure improvements that have already been constructed, including curb, gutter, sidewalks, and streetlights. In addition, the original development installed the privacy masonry wall around the project. Similar to the other project, the homes have been designed so that they will face outward. These 2 homes right here will face outward. You'll have the front of the homes with a walkway leading to the sidewalk. All of the driveways and parking will be accessed on an internal driveway rather than having driveways out to Stewart Circle. And this is just a recent shot of Stewart Circle right now. Here is some further slides. I have to admit that these are taken from Google Street View, but they do a good representation of the existing conditions. So this is just looking, south on Parkland, and you can see the existing privacy perimeter wall, and the site is behind this wall. This is internal on Stewart Circle, looking to the west, so you can see the site. The bottom shot is also on Stewart Circle, looking to the north. So this slide is a recent aerial image of the overall project site in Spring Lake, kind of showing the progress and development in the area. It shows the roadway improvements that have been installed on Parkland, including traffic circle, as well as a median that has been installed along Parkland. And there is actually a little traffic, it's a little triangle that kind of helps keep traffic flow separated on the incoming and outgoing traffic in this area. Traffic separator. So I'd like to just talk for a minute about the project review process. The project application was submitted to the city in January of 2020. This project underwent circulation and review through the city departments, and there were some modifications required. Public notice of this project was mailed to properties within 300 feet of each site, and the applicant mailed a letter to the properties, I believe, which were directly adjacent to the project site. After receiving the public notice, staff has received some calls and emails with questions about the project. One individual had a number of questions regarding the construction phase of the project, concerns about noise and construction, parking, and access. City codes and standards will govern the construction, and in general, the work on these project sites will be primarily on site due to the fact that all of the surrounding infrastructure has actually been installed. Other concerns have been expressed regarding parking and traffic, particularly around Lot G, and I will address these topics through the course of my presentation. One additional comment came in to request that 1 or 2 speed cushions be included on Hunt Street in order to minimize cut-through traffic. So just to give a cursory review of staff analysis of the project proposal, the Spring Lake specific plan is consistent with the general plan, and therefore the Spring Lake land use plan is consistent with the general plan. The general plan was updated in 2017 and included significant number of goals and policies to emphasize compact development, particularly emphasizing infill development. And the plan includes multiple policies relevant to that subject, which are described more fully in the staff report. I'd like to call some attention to policy 2C1 regarding compact form. This is a really significant policy that was added because it was added to acknowledge and express the goal that while the city's goal is to have higher intensity development, it acknowledges that there will be potential trade-offs that come as a result of that development. There are benefits that come as a result of compact development, but there can be trade-offs in terms of traffic noise and potentially lack of privacy. We hope sensitive design and appropriate performance standards may assist in mitigating these concerns. So just in general, the project site, as I mentioned before, is designated R15, and the proposed project density is at a 12.4 dwelling units per acre for Lot B and at 11.1 dwelling units per acre for Lot G. So with regard to zoning consistency, the project meets all parking requirements of the code by providing a minimum of 2 spaces for each unit. Lot D provides 2 spaces as well as 24 additional on-site parking, and Lot G provides for additional parking in each driveway. So the minimum requirement for a single family is 2 spaces per unit, and for a multifamily it's 1.5 parking spaces per unit. I'd like to note that the Homeowners Association has been conditioned to prohibit recreational vehicle parking within the project, and owners are required to keep their garages clear for parking purposes. The project open space, as you can see, Lot G, the total lot coverage in Lot G is 35%. There's 51% open space. Lot D has a total coverage of 37% with 45% open space. So just a brief, I'd like to touch on parking and circulation. As I've already mentioned before, the blue arrows are showing the 2 points of access and entry to the site. I'd like to highlight this arrow, the green arrow. This is a pedestrian paseo that is provided to give residents access directly to Parkland. As you can see in the slide, this project is providing a parking ratio of 2.3, as well as theoretical proposed parking on Marston. And I'd like to just indicate that this is just for illustrative purposes only. It's not indicating that these are assigned parking spaces to this on Marston Street. So I would like to comment, the city did receive a comment regarding traffic calming on Hunt Street. And in considering the question regarding speed cushions, Marston is a collective and already has traffic circles which are significant traffic calming features. Hunt Street, which in the future could actually provide for some potential cut-through traffic. One speed cushion was added as part of the Spring Lake Central project, which is to the north of this project site. So it is possible that 1 to 2 additional speed cushions could be added south of Dig Street. There is no condition for this in the project at this time. So I'd like to talk about traffic circulation for Lot G. And this is where we've received the most comments from residents in the area. This project provides parking in a manner really that is consistent with the adjacent single-family homes. It allows for 2 spaces in a garage and up to 2 on-site spaces in each driveway. And as I mentioned, the minimum parking standard for multifamily is 1.5 and 2 for single-family. This project provides an overall parking ratio of 3.6 spaces per unit. A minor amount of on-street parking is illustrated in the exhibit. This is not to say that these are not assigned spots. There is actually there's parking on these units that side on and elsewhere along Stewart Circle, similar to any other public street. So this proposed project is consistent with the original project approval from 2004, with the exception that it will not be 100% affordable. The original project, like I said, assumed that the site would be 10 affordable units. At an R15 density, the development could include apartments, townhomes, as well as a small lot single-family type of proposal which you have in front of you. Traffic for this project site was, and actually for both project sites, was taken into account as part of the traffic analysis, both with the Spring Lake specific plan and the EIR, as well as part of the tentative map, which was approved in 2004. These projects are consistent with the density that was previously approved, and so there is no requirement for additional analysis in that regard. There has been some question about traffic calming in this area. The proposed project does not meet the requirements, which are known as warrants, for adding traffic calming features. and it's hoped and anticipated that any new residents in the development would drive in the same manner as existing residents in the area. So this map illustrates the planned development that's proposed as part of this project. This is a precise plotting map. It has all of the setbacks precise and units precisely plotted. As part of this application, the applicant is requesting to amend the interior setbacks and individual lot coverages for these lots. I would like to note that it's conditioned all project perimeter setbacks are consistent with the R15 standards. The applicant is conditioned to provide a minimum 10-foot setback along the north property line. We'd also like to note that there's 4 floor plans and they are evenly distributed throughout the project area. The plan 1 is a project plan that is at 1,450 square feet, and there are 18 of those plans. They are 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Plan 2 is also a 3-bedroom, 2-bath product. The Plan 3 and Plan 4 are 4-bedroom, 2.5-bath products. So this is the precise plan development for Lot G. So this is also to request some amendment to the interior setbacks. This project, all of the lots meet the lot coverage requirements. I'd like to note that the lots here to the south are set 7 feet back. The side yard setback for R5 is 5 feet, and the homes on Lot 9 and Lot 8 are set back at 10 and 15 distance-wise from the east property line. These 2 exhibits just illustrate the perimeter conditions. As infill properties, there are situations where development is adjacent to existing lots and development, and it needs to be taken, considered very carefully. These images illustrate fencing conditions. The top slide illustrates a condition where a proposed pad may be lower than the existing pad that's being proposed. In this instance, a low retaining wall will be required with a wood fence on top. As the image illustrates, the footing will be located entirely on the project site. You can see it's kind of an L-shaped footing with a 2-inch gap. A 6-foot fence will be placed on top. The existing owners may either leave their fence or remove them if they wish. The new fence will be taller than the existing fence. So the lower slide illustrates the grading condition along Parkland Avenue for Lot D. At minimum, there will be a 6-foot privacy fence on the pad side, which may result in a slightly higher fence on the public side. The privacy perimeter fencing will match the fencing that is existing out there already. So this slide illustrates the proposed landscaping for Lot D. The project provides an interior paseo, which is in this area, as well as a larger common open space, Lot A, that will have homes. So in both of these instances, homes will be fronting onto either the paseo or the common open space. So the project will provide for canopy shade trees throughout, particularly over sidewalks and parking areas. And in this instance, because there are no driveways along Hunt Street or along Marston, there will be a significant number of street trees and landscaping that will be able to be planted. All the public landscaping will be maintained by the homeowners association. So this slide illustrates the conceptual landscaping, general conceptual landscaping for Lot G. The lighter green illustrates the public landscaped areas that will be maintained. In the areas that are behind fences, and are kind of this beige color, illustrate that these will be areas where the homeowners can landscape, individually on each of those lots. So this, the image here on the right provides a little more detail, concept detail of the plantings that will be proposed. The upper image shows an illustration of the fence, and then the project is proposing a little entry sign with at the entrance. So this slide illustrates the proposed architecture for Lot D. These are illustrative street scenes that have been rendered. The top image shows an illustration of the existing homes with the proposed new units on Hunt. These would be the homes to the north and how that condition might look. These in the middle, this is an exhibit of potentially what it will look like along Parkland. And the two images to the bottom here illustrate the two conditions where you either have a front entry or a side entry. And I just would like to emphasize that on all of the homes, a significant front porch area is being proposed on all of the units. This also shows the square footage proposed for each of the, and the number of bedrooms and bathrooms for each of the 4 floor plans that are proposed. So this slide illustrates a street view for Lot G on Stewart Circle. As mentioned before, the intent is to have the 2 units that face Stewart Circle, front to Stewart Circle with an entry walk. There will be no driveways accessing off these units, as you would see with more of a typical single-family home. Driveways, in fact, will be accessed through this private driveway entry right here. I'd like to talk briefly about the project's affordable housing obligation. As Commission members are aware, the Spring Lake Specific Plan has an affordable housing requirement that's required of all development projects. And this project is required to provide in total 17 affordable units. As I've mentioned before, the intent is to scatter those units between the 2 sites. The applicant is actually proposing to construct and offer the affordable units for sale. It is, given the potential, at least based on the current market, it is possible that these homes may be priced similar to any restricted pricing for low-income homeowners, which in a way provides homeowners a choice of how they may or may not want to finance their project. I would just like to emphasize that for a family of 4, right now the 2020 federal income limit would require a family to make $74,000, and the maximum affordable home price would be $447,000. The Spring Lake Specific Plan requires a development agreement. A development agreement provides negotiated features or amenities for the public benefit, as well as providing certainty for an applicant. The project is conditioned to provide a general purpose fee of $3,000 per lot. And this general purpose fee will go potentially towards things such as improving bike and pedestrian features. So I would like to note that there is one condition that staff is requesting be added to the project. Out in Spring Lake, I guess they've been having a really significant problem with pigeons. And what they have found is that it's useful to have screening provided around any solar panels. So we'd like to ask that a condition be added that if any solar panels are installed on the roof, they also have pigeon-proof screens added. So with that, staff recommends that the Planning Commission recommend approval to the Council of the proposed project. This slide highlights the actions required with this application. This concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions. And I do want to let you know that the applicant has representatives available to speak about the project and answer any questions. Thank you very much.
Cindy, thank you. Very comprehensive report. A lot of information there. Very well done. Thank you. Now what I'd like to do is go down through our list of commissioners and ask if they have any questions. We will then open the public hearing. When we come back after the public hearing and staff has any additional questions or comments, we'll come back and I'll offer that at that time as well. So to begin with, let's start with Commissioner Holt. Chris, any questions for staff?
I do have one. Thank you, Cindy, for the comprehensive presentation. I had many more questions, but you hit all of them except one in your presentation. So great job. My question has to do with the nature of the affordable housing agreement. I know it's been a while since we did this. We've had a lot of developers come in and pay the fee. But can you describe to me how that affordable housing system works once the houses are ready for sale? As I remember, there was kind of a somewhat complicated method of advertising that the developers had to pay for. And after a certain period of time, if the advertising didn't produce affordable housing applicants, then the houses reverted to market rate. Can you fill me in a little bit just on that process?
Actually, that is correct. It's part of the inclusionary housing agreement. There is a set time limit that is handled through the city's affordable housing program. And I believe it's somewhere on the order of 290 days. I may be off on that a little bit. I would like to say that the city, it's my understanding that there already is a waiting list of 80 applicants on our home buyer applicant list. And so as to whether we would just pull off that existing list or whether there would be additional advertising, that I can't answer. That would be handled at the time. The city staff, there is staff who oversees the implementation of the inclusionary housing agreement. We, in the past, have hired an outside consultant to assist with qualifying, reviewing the qualifying requirements for each of the homes.
And so if I may follow up on that, this does mean that even though we have 80 applicants on a list, they still have to qualify for the purchase price of the house. And I guess I have a question for the applicant if they're going to take questions later regarding that. But thank you very much, Cindy. That cleared that up for me. Thank you.
Chris, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, this is Marco. May I ask a question of Cindy?
Certainly.
I think I missed something, Cindy, on your last part. Did you say you added a condition to the project?
I was requesting that the commission agree to add a condition to allow for pigeon proofing if solar panels are installed, which this project is proposing solar.
Pigeon what?
What it is, it's screens that are installed around the solar panels, because what happens is I think the pigeons go in and want to roost, and I guess they've been having a terrible problem out in Spring Lake. And
Okay.
the city has been called in, the city manager has been involved with multiple meetings to try to address and deal with this problem. And what we discovered is that adding these screens helps reduce the access and make it less desirable for the pigeons to be on somebody's.
Totally understand that. Welcome. Thank you.
So we'll make the pigeon proofing condition on that one. Okay, let's pop down to Commissioner Hurst. Any questions for staff?
I might have just had a small misunderstanding when you were saying, Cindy, that they're coming to us to subdivide the lot. Were you referring to them potentially, is it just lot G and lot D, or are there more buyers coming into the equation?
No, and I apologize. What I meant, right now, for example, lot D, when you look at it, it is actually just one large lot.
Right.
And what they're doing is they're subdividing it into all these individual small lots. That's what the tentative subdivision map is. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Perfect. And then, will the 17 total affordable housing lots, the ones that are going to be scattered, are they going to be different floor plans? Like how is that selection process done?
It's my understanding, talking with our affordable housing individual, Dan Focolo, probably the best and preferred alternative would be that most of the Plan 1s, which are the smallest plans, and probably more in the reach, they're 3-bedroom, and they could be at a price that is reachable to probably a low-income family. And I would like to make a comment that if the market rate purchase price for these homes ends up being at a level that's similar to what the restricted price for a low-income family would be, they may choose to not go through the process of trying to qualify unless they have some issues. Because it's a very arduous process to kind of go through the qualifications. And there's also restrictions placed on your future sale of your property if you are a low-income qualified home buyer. And so if by chance the pricing of these homes is such that they can just achieve and get into these without having to have these restrictions placed, that may happen. And that is more likely to occur in these smaller units, which are, the hope is that they're affordable by design. And in fact, the city has adjusted our development impact fees to facilitate and encourage smaller units. And for units in multifamily units that are 1,450 square feet or less, they pay a lesser development impact fee than larger units. And so it is actually encouraging developers to incorporate smaller units in their projects.
That's all I have. Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you, Valerie. Vice Chair Lizraga.
Yes, sir. I already asked the question I was going to ask.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Lopez.
Nothing.
Okay, and Commissioner Wong. Okay, Cindy, I do have a couple questions. The first question is, our developmental fee, is it going to be paid? I know on the last project we had, the developer was paying that up front. In this case, are they paying it as a build, or are they paying that to us in an upfront fee?
In this instance, it's similar to all of the rest of the projects in Spring Lake, and more typical, they would pay it at building permit. With each building permit, fees would be paid. On the Parkside 3 project, Lennar Homes, which is a larger builder, did agree to pay upfront in a lump sum some of those fees. Okay. Some of that funding is going to go to facilitate the East Beaver Way project. Okay.
The other kind of more of an observation I'd ask you is as we talk about affordable housing, and it's almost like, well, if you do qualify for affordable housing, it's almost like there's a penalty side of it if you want to sell it later. And then, in the past, we haven't seen in our housing element, the ability for affordable housing to truly be a factor. So it would be great if, as we go through this project, if you could periodically come back and report to us on how we're doing with it. And I think that would be helpful for us to follow a project like this through those 200 plus days and then see what the results are, to see what maybe we could inform City Council on how we could maybe change some things to make that better. And the last thing is, I know that we've had some questions about the traffic issues, and you mentioned that there was the possibility that we could put in some speed bumps to calm traffic. Where would those be located to kind of help us?
Yes. So where we're talking about is on Hunt Street. So this is Lot D, and you have Parkland and you have Marston. So Heritage Parkway, this is the big intersection. Heritage Parkway continues, and eventually there will be multifamily and commercial development around this curve. So this is Hunt Street, and the project, this is a different project developer. They added a speed hump. You can kind of see it right here on Hunt Street. A question has come in as to whether there should be additional speed humps added on Hunt Street. Part of it would be to, in the future, discourage that cut-through traffic that might occur. And in talking with the traffic engineer, I don't think we have at this point in time an exact location as to where those speed humps would go. It would probably have to be some sort of a generalized condition to say that they would work with the traffic engineer, during improvement plans to determine the appropriate location for one or two additional speed humps as necessary on Hunt Street.
Okay, wonderful. Cindy, thank you, and staff for putting together such a great report. At this point, I'm going to open the public hearing, and we will ask the applicant if they so desire to speak first. Again, they'll have 3 minutes, and then I'll go back through my commissions while you're up there, while you're able to answer those. As a matter of fact, we won't do that. We'll have the applicant speak. Then when we come back to the commissioners, we'll see if the commissioners have any individual questions for them, as Commissioner Holt maybe have one. Again, if you're a member of the public, we'll take one form of comment from you. If you send an email in, then we won't have you speak. If you have left a voicemail, then that will be your message. And then, and if you want to speak individually, but if you have, again, we're going to limit this to one source of comment from each individual who does want to do so. So to begin with, let's start with Cindy. Do we have any messages from the public on our voicemail?
I would actually ask Jay.
Oh, Jay.
Last time we looked, there were not.
This is Jay. We do not have any voicemails.
Okay. Having the voicemails, do we have any emails from the public?
I have 2 emails, but I believe that at least one of those individuals is on the attending, and they may wish to speak or have the email read.
Okay. Let's
Nicole.
Who is that? Who's that member of the public?
Nicole Odell.
Okay. Nicole, would you like to speak in public, or would you like to have us read your email?
I would prefer the email to be read. I took a lot of time thinking through how I wanted that to be phrased.
Excellent. We'll do that. Thank you for being part of this process.
Okay.
Cindy, if you would.
Sure. Okay. Dear Planning Commission, thank you for offering the ability to give public comment on your agenda items, Spring Lake Specific Plan, Beasley Ranch, Lot D and Lot G. As residents of Spring Lake and Stewart Circle, we would like to comment on the proposed plan. We appreciate that this lot is finally looking to be developed bringing construction to an end in our neighborhood. Our neighborhood boasts a large number of young children and multi-generational families who appreciate the quietness and closeness of the circle. We have a lot to offer families who choose to move into Lot G. And frankly, as a close neighbor of the vacant lot, we are excited not to have to call the city every year near the 4th of July to cut tall weeds due to increased fire danger and the removal of the weed base that flows into our yard. However, we are quite concerned regarding the plan. The Lot G development is 0.9 acres and is currently slated to add 10 additional homes to the community. This may be considered medium density housing. However, 3 of these homes will fit on our lot. As a result, we are concerned about the ability for our new neighbors to meld into the neighborhood, as with this density, it will almost certainly isolate them. While we understand this is the current zoning of the land, we would appreciate re-examining whether it fits the current situation on the circle. There are 2 main concerns for ourselves and the residents of the circle. With the large increase in homes, the parking and traffic situation would greatly change as a result of the additional potentially 10 to 40 cars to the circle. We have read through the city's report and your agenda items and are not comfortable with the information provided that is designed to mitigate parking and or traffic flow. First, our street has a large number of cars parked on the street, and the number has increased over the years, with more families being multi-generational and having teenagers come to age. At any given day, one can count at least 10 cars parked on the street, with at least 1 to 2 on the circle in front of Lot G. Furthermore, at any given time, one can count as little as 10 cars to as many as 15 cars parked in their driveways, as there is no space in their garages. Furthermore, over the years, we've experienced a large overflow from the Rochdale Grange apartments, with residents parking on our streets. The parking overflow diminished when the neighboring homes and streets next to the complex were complete. But it highlights the parking issues that may develop from this construction. From the plans, we understand that the HOA is designed to limit the use of the garage space to parking only to alleviate some of the pressure from more street parking. However, who will be monitoring and who will ensure that over time this monitoring continues and compliance is maintained? In addition, this is just not reasonable for our new neighbors who are limited to 1,400 to 1,900 square feet with 3 to 4 bedrooms. These homes will need storage in the garage that the garage provides. My family owns apartment complexes in the Bay Area, and from experience, you can only expect 30% of your residents to utilize garage space for parking vehicles in homes with limited square footage. The plan also mentions providing driveways to accommodate parking with 18-foot spaces. Standard commercial parking spots are 9 by 18. While smaller cars may fit in those dimensions, the space provided will not fit larger vehicles.
There you go. Thank you, Cindy.
There is more.
Okay, but we're out of time with that. So thank you for those comments. That was well written, and we appreciate your comments on the issues. Jay, do we have or Cindy, do we have additional emails?
There is another email from Joel and Julie Meisfield. I believe that they are also on the Zoom meeting and may either wish to speak or have this read.
Okay, so let's ask them if they'll unmute their mic. And would you like us to read your email, or would you like to speak on the public forum?
Cindy, I'm sorry, what was the name of that person?
Joel Meisfield. I see there's a hand up.
You can just read our email, please.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
happy to do that.
Thank you.
All right. City of Woodland Planning Commission. As residents of Stewart Circle, we sincerely appreciate the opportunity to contribute to the discussion regarding the proposed site plans for the Deagley Ranch, specifically Lot G on Stewart Circle. While we welcome the addition of more housing units to our wonderful community here in Spring Lake, we have several concerns regarding the proposal. Beginning with the builder only fulfilling the minimum notification requirement of sharing their plans with residents within 300 feet of the property, even though all occupants of Stewart Circle will be affected by the changes to the neighborhood. The predominant issue we foresee with the proposed plans for Stewart Circle is the sheer volume of housing units to be constructed on this small plot of just 0.9 acres. A lot this size should have 3 to maybe 4 houses in order to align with the remainder of the neighborhood. Stewart Circle is a very small residential street with low traffic flow, which facilitates safe play between neighbors and friends for the many children and families that reside here. A main entrance to the housing complex off Stewart Circle, a small side street, makes no sense from both a traffic flow and a child pedestrian safety perspective. We urge the builder and the city to consider moving the main entrance to Lot G from Stewart Circle to Parkland Avenue or even Heritage Parkway in order to keep heavy traffic off our small circle and allow for ease of entrance to the housing complex from the main thoroughfare. Another concern with the large number of houses on Lot G is parking. These houses have only 18-foot driveways, allowing for 2 cars at most. In recent years, we have seen an increase in multi-generational living in our immediate neighborhoods, even in smaller homes such as those proposed in Beagley Ranch. Many houses on our street and neighborhood have 3, 4, even 5 cars. The builder suggests that all residents must use garages for automobile storage only for CC&R. It is inconceivable to assume that each household will park all vehicles in the garage or driveway of each house. We anticipate significant parking overflow onto Stewart Circle, which is already saturated with parked cars. Additionally, who is responsible for enforcing CC&Rs regarding parking? How do we ensure that CC&Rs are actually enforced? Lastly, with the potential addition of this many houses, the future closing of Harry Lorenzo to 25A, making the main thoroughfare to 25A Parkland Avenue, we would like to encourage the city to perform a new traffic impact study of the surrounding streets, including Stewart Circle, and share the results with current residents of the community. Thank you for your time and consideration in this matter. Joel and Julie Meisel.
Cindy, thank you, and thank you for that email. Very well thought out and very well communicated. Thank you. Any additional emails, Cindy?
No.
Okay. At this time, do we have, and Jay, I'll have you manage this for me. Do we have anybody that would like to speak in the public forum at this time?
Yes, we have 2 that have their hands raised. First will be John Paul, and then next up will be Bruce.
Good evening, Mr. Paul. Welcome. Please start.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
We can.
Fantastic. My name is John Paul Valcarengi, and I really appreciate the opportunity to speak to you tonight. I've been a resident of Stewart Circle with my family now for 11 and a half years. My 3 children have grown up here. My 13-year-old or 12 and a half year old was 2 when we moved here. My 19-year-old actually just moved out last week. So we've seen this neighborhood develop, and we plan on being here for a long time. I did some quick checking on my street. There's approximately 30 homes on Stewart Circle. About half of them, 15, have children who live in the homes. So this is definitely a family-oriented street. And yes, we do have multi-generations living on Stewart Circle. I can think of at least my neighbors who have 3 generations living in the home presently. Adding 10 homes to our neighborhood does represent a significant change to the street in terms of parking and traffic. And that's not to minimize in any way how excited we are to have a development in this empty lot. I agree with everything that my neighbors have said tonight about building in that lot and having to deal with the fire hazard. I did give Ms. Norris a call and express some of my concerns. We did also ask if there had been a traffic study on Stewart Circle. There had not. I asked about putting in some sort of traffic calming measures on Stewart Circle to deal with the change in traffic. A speed bump would be nice on Stewart Circle as well. Or some sort of circle to slow down entry and exit from the development. I think practically speaking, we always knew that the Lot G was zoned for 10 houses. We never anticipated that they would be houses this big or that they would hold this many cars. We're very excited that it's not going to be a development of apartments, but we're looking for creative solutions, and we'd ask the developer in the city to reconsider some of the expectations that are centered around parking and traffic. To say that residents are expected to drive in the same manner, new neighbors are expected to drive in the same manner as existing residents is a given, but there is going to be a lot more cars on the street, a lot more need for parking spaces, and we want to try and figure this out in a collaborative manner. There were some questions from the Planning Commission about the affordable housing. Lot G, all 10 of the houses will be affordable housing. So to say that they're scattered throughout the development is correct, but not quite. The remaining 7 will be in Lot D. And so those are big houses for affordable housing houses. Thanks.
Next up is Bruce, and then after Bruce is Gabrielle.
Okay, can you all hear me?
Go ahead and start.
Can you all hear me? Can you hear me?
You sound great. Go ahead.
Okay. Can Cindy, would you please pull up the site plan for parcel G, I think it is? Am I losing time here while she pulls it up?
We'll give you a fair amount of time on this.
Okay. Okay, Cindy. So I have a question, Cindy, on the garage parking requirement. There is a 4.17 garage parking requirement in the development agreement. It reads outside on-site parking spaces shall not be used for regular parking of household vehicles or storage of RVs or boats. So what is the definition, your definition or interpretation of outside on-site?
Okay, and just for clarification, we do not do a question and answer period with staff, so you can bring those questions up and then we'll address them.
Okay, well, that's, all right. So I will point out that lot 4, for example, that one would appear to have a sufficient side yard to park a vehicle. So I'm concerned that 4.17 could be loosely interpreted that the outside on-site refers to the alley or something. Not really, it doesn't seem specific enough to me that someone cannot park a RV vehicle in the side yard on lot 4. That's the only lot in this entire project that looks like it could accommodate something like that. Now, the second point is, Cindy caused me with a statement that she made to look at the public facilities fee program, because Cindy said any home 1,450 square feet or less will pay citywide multifamily impact fees. And that's pretty critical, because I had communicated earlier, maybe yesterday, and I noted that on the Exhibit E that there's a discrepancy, because what that says is that units under 1,450 square feet shall be charged at the multifamily unit rate for citywide fees. So that's a distinction of 1 square foot, but it's also a distinction of over $10,000, $10,804 per citywide impact fee. So Plan 1 is 1,450 square feet. Per Exhibit E in the development agreement, they would be paying the higher single-family dwelling fee. Per the Public Facilities Fee Program Administrative Guidelines, and I don't have it in front of me, but anyway, yeah, I do have it in front of me. I can't cite the section. Yeah, it's on page 4. Multifamily units shall be subject to development fees per unit basis, blah, blah, blah. Units larger than 1,450 square feet will have a similar impact to single-family residents. So I think that the Exhibit E asterisk needs to be clarified under the matrix because that's a discrepancy. It would infer that the building permit would have to be applied for the 1,450 square foot unit to pay the higher single family fee, which amounts to $10,804. That'd be great for the city because there's 18 units. It's about $194,000.
Okay, I think we're running out of time, so if we can wrap that up.
I did.
Okay. Well, thank you. Okay, Jay, who's next?
Gabrielle, you're next. I'm sorry, I'll unmute you in just a moment. Next, your username shows as M Horak. You are after Gabrielle.
Gabriel, welcome. Go ahead and start.
Can you guys hear me? Sorry.
You sound great. Welcome.
Great. Thanks for having this. And yeah, I think we're all excited for the no more weeds in the back and all that good stuff. And yeah, we're all worried about traffic. I guess I'm more worried about the lot D and the density, and yes, and I think more the timing and the aggressiveness of the developers. You know, let's get this in like yesterday, and while all the construction is going on and a lot of the infrastructure that's supposed to support this community is still not complete. I would really like to see 25 complete, Lorenzo complete, maybe some of the parks developed and proposed in the current plan complete, the firehouse complete, before any of this gets, started, with all the construction going on. I know it was mentioned like, oh, it's on site, and it's still a lot of traffic, a lot of going on. And for Plan D, it would be nice to see the private drive E flipped and going into Parkland instead of Hunt. There's already plenty of traffic on Hunt. Let's move it to the larger artery that's right on the other side. That'd be great. But yeah, I think mainly timing. Like, can we slow down and not have, another set of construction going on while we're trying to finish the infrastructure? Again, more green belts. Let's get some of those built. Let's get some, again, for this community to really be able to enjoy the plan that was proposed and had been really executed. And we just keep adding more people and nothing to support all the people that just keep getting pushed into this area. Mainly that. Again, I think we all moved here and we all understood that was going to be eventually developed. I don't think we're trying to stop it. We're just trying to, get it done as best as it can be done with the knowledge that we've all acquired while this has been developed. So if we can just be a little bit more strategic, and to help the community, would be really, really appreciated from you guys that have the power to help our community be the best that we can for each other. So thank you.
Gabriel, thank you. We appreciate you and everybody else that's participating tonight. Okay, Jay, who do we have next?
The last hand we have, I'm unmuting you right now.
Good evening, welcome.
Thank you. My name is Michael Horak. I live on Holman Street, about 1 block from the development on Lot G. Thank you for the work you do, and thank you for that presentation. That was very informative and very helpful to understand this, and I do thank you for the opportunity to speak to you. My comments are fairly limited, but they echo some of the previous comments. While we would support the developments of the housing in that area, the density of homes really is not consistent with the surrounding neighborhood. And I strongly urge the committee to think about that. I really believe that by adjusting the density, that many of the other problems or potential problems that were brought up in terms of parking and traffic could be addressed by reconsidering that density. And it wouldn't take much on that small lot to address that. A couple of questions I had that I'll just leave there for you all to discuss. When the presentation was being made, I didn't quite understand if it is even possible to downzone, if that's the proper term, to move that to a lower density or not. That was just a question that came up. And thank you again for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. Okay. Jay, do we have any additional hands or anybody that would like to speak to the quick session?
Nope, at this time we have no more hands.
Okay, and Cindy, no additional emails or voicemails? Okay, and that's a no from Cindy. So at this point, I'm going to close the public hearing, and now I'll bring it back to our commission for any additional questions, clarifications. And so to begin with, what I'd like to do is I'd like to ask our applicant if they would unmute so that we can go to Commissioner Holt, who had a question that he would like to ask directly of the applicant. Chris?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for bringing this project to us. It's an exciting one. I can recognize and hearing the residents' comments and concerns. I actually have two questions that I'd like to ask you, or I guess a question and a statement. And I'm sorry, Chair, will we come back for statements after this question? Or
Yes.
should I do?
No, I'll come back and we'll do statements.
Okay, great. I'll keep it limited then.
Okay.
My question really comes to the pricing or theoretical pricing of the units, specifically the affordable units. I recognize that per the square footage of all of the units, the small size of them, that they may all fall into what is considered to be affordable at $447,458. I will tell you this, I have never bought a house that's that much. I couldn't afford a house that's that much. So I don't actually consider that affordable. But what I would ask to you is do you know what your price point is for the affordable units and for the general units? And if you could share, obviously we're not going to hold you to it. The market is very fluid, but roughly where are you guys looking at on your pro forma?
Commissioner Holt, thanks for the questions. I'm Aaron Ross Swain, representing Tim Lewis Communities. And thanks for having us here tonight. But to get directly to your question regarding the pricing for the market rate units, really that is controlled largely in part by a lot of the other conventional new home subdivisions out there. So we perceive that we're going to be sliding in just below that in the high threes to the mid to low fours. So that is a moving target with the market rate pricing. Who knows what it will be when we go out to sale sometime late next year. Things could change drastically one way or the other. The affordable housing pricing, as Cindy mentioned earlier, is pegged at $447,000 for a 3-bedroom, which is, as you pointed out, pretty pricey for affordable housing. So there's a good chance that our market rate pricing is likely to come in lower than that. So the way that I understand the affordable housing program to work is the affordable pricing can be one of two things. A, the city calculated, it's the lower of the city calculated dollar amount, which in this case is $447,000, or the appraised value, which is likely to be more consistent with our market rate pricing. So it will be one of the two. So does that answer your question?
It does. I would just ask, in my feeling, I get the 458 is a technical or a theoretical maximum for the number. I would try to hope to ask that you guys could get it down into a much more actually affordable pricing, which would land, at least from my thoughts, down around 360 or so for about 1,400 square feet. And even that feels steep, but I think 360 is a lot more affordable than 440. And I know you guys have your pro formas. You have to, perform to a certain level. So I think on these nice small units where you can get a lower price, if you could get the affordable even lower, I think it would be a lot more palatable to many of our young families and many of our low-income families. So just
absolutely, and I think the mission here is to get affordable designated affordable households in these homes, and working with Dan Sokolow. We're going to be motivated to get these things sold. I mean, we don't want them to sit unoccupied for 200 and some odd days. I mean, that's an expensive carry cost. So we're going to be motivated to move them. And I think Dan is, very passionate about getting folks in there. And so it's going to be an effort between Timlo's communities and the city to come up with the secret sauce to get qualified home buyers in there. And I think there's a way to do it. We've done it before. So I hear what you're saying, and I we're aligned at the hip on that one. So we've got 17 of them to build and sell. So we've got to come up with a good plan. So.
Great, thank you. And then one last question, because there was a comment specific to this, and I know, Cindy, at least for me, you're relatively clear. Aaron, you're not going to put 10 of the affordable houses in Lot G and then the other 7 in D, right? You're spreading all 17 across the entirety of the development. Is that correct?
That is correct, and I appreciate you making that clarification because I think it was John Paul that mentioned that. So yeah, 10 affordable lots will not be concentrated on Lot G. Rather, the 17 units will be dispersed across the 6 acres like you just pointed out.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You bet.
Ross, thank you. Aaron, thank you. Chris, thank you. Now we're going to go to Commissioner Hurst. Valerie, any questions for staff or for the applicant?
Yeah, I have a couple. So I want to extend a little bit of the questioning that Chris was on, specifically when you said that you've done it before to try and move affordable housing faster. You said you've done it. Could you give a more concrete example or examples of what you've done in the past to try and attract families into these affordable housing units faster? Is it lowering the cost over time? Do you start out higher and then lower the cost? I'd like a little bit more concrete knowledge of what you guys are committing to.
Certainly. Well, I think part of it is first, there needs to be an awareness of the program. So working with the city and their interest list of 80 some odd households, making sure that they're aware of this opportunity and what the process is to get them pre-qualified to make sure they're first and foremost eligible. So it's just, bringing a general awareness and secondly, to some of the creative ways to get qualified households into these units is when I mentioned sort of the cooperation between the city and the developer builder is oftentimes the city has affordable housing funds that they can earmark and designate as first-time home buyer assistance type funds that could help these qualified households either, it could be down payment assistance, it could be funds that are utilized to pay down debt. So their debt to income ratios are bettered or enhanced. So those are some creative ways that we've seen in the past work, because as Cindy alluded to, and maybe somebody else did, there's a huge demand for affordable housing and there's a lot of people that need it, but to fit into that narrow box to qualify is very hard. So some of those things that I mentioned does help with that. So it's, in summary, it's bringing an awareness to the program, utilizing the interest list that's there. And then when we do have qualified buyers and households, making sure that, the tool, they are equipped with the tools to ultimately get the financing they need to buy the home.
And then as in regard to HOA fees, I don't think we've ever touched on this before, mostly because we've ran into a lot of houses that have, or lots that have taken the in lieu fees, but are the HOA fees going to be decreased for the affordable housing lots?
No, not at this juncture.
Why have we decided, or why would that be a decision in terms of we're trying to make this as affordable as possible? And I think over time that's potentially a barrier, per month, per yearly barrier for someone.
It's an interesting question. I don't know the clear-cut answer to it. My knee-jerk reaction was, well, I think they will be subject to the same HOA fees, but it's been a long time since I've been in a community where there's affordable housing and with an HOA, so I can get back to you on that as a follow-up. But they'll be enjoying the same amenities that every other home in the community will. So I don't know. I mean, there's arguments on both sides, and we don't know what the HOA dues will be on a per month basis at this point. We project them to be relatively low given the minimal amount of maintenance that is associated with this project and the amount of units there are. So, but I can certainly follow back up with you on that question.
Yeah, I think when we're talking about a $447,000 affordable housing cost, to me, it's almost like some of that cost for the HOA should be built into their home buy. I mean, it seems like a lot of ask for someone to be paying that full tilt.
Well, and Valerie, I'm going to hop in, and Ross, I'm going to answer that question a little bit because I have a lot of experience with planned urban developments and HOAs. But generally speaking, once the HOA is created, that's a separate corporation that is responsible for securing the guidelines and responsibilities of the HOA. So what they have to factor in every year by law is they have to do a budget that establishes future cost of repaving, the maintenance, all those issues. And then as the HOA is set up, I've seen some where they do it on a square footage basis, which would be kind of a pro rata piece based on the square footage, but those costs are borne and the benefits are shared by all. So, once the HOA is set up, the members that vote for that, essentially the board, can establish those guidelines and change them over time.
Sure. And then, thank you, Chairman. Great. If you could just get back to us on what it would be, maybe if it's based on square footage, that'd be great, Aaron.
You bet.
And then, are you guys going to come back with a more in-depth landscaping plan? I see there was a plan for trees and bushes and shrubbery, but we kind of got, I think, on previous proposals, more of a species, an in-depth species look at what you plan on doing.
Yeah, so what you see in your design review booklets is, and I'm flipping through it as I'm glancing down, they're on the concept plan sheet schedule. It does identify the proposed species.
Okay.
So it gives you a menu of what we propose. And then from there, we'll take that conceptual, those design parameters and implement them into the our landscape construction CDs at a later date.
Great. Sorry, I missed that.
No worries.
Yeah. Thank you, Valerie. Vice Chair Lizarraga.
Well, I've always been very strong advocate of affordability, but I understand, Aaron, the complexity of that concept. Even the definition of affordability, it's a huge issue. And the fact is that economically, structurally, it is not going to happen until the different levels of government can guarantee profitability with subsidies. You mentioned some of them. Unfortunately, a lot of them are gone. But, it's complex, and unless there are different levels of government step in to provide the subsidies so the profitability can still be there at a lower price, we're going to have the challenge. And I understand it, even though I advocate strongly for affordability. And yes, it's true. What the government comes up with $447,000, well, that's not affordable. I couldn't buy it, just like Commissioner Holt. But I also understand the complexities of it and what needs to be done. It's unfortunately, it's not in the near horizon, and I understand that. And thanks, Mr. Holt, for bringing that up, Commissioner Holt. And Aaron, thanks for trying to answer that with a roundabout way of the necessity to provide subsidies to be able to guarantee some kind of profitability that allows the construction of homes. That's all I have to say. It's more a comment than a question.
Marco, thank you. Commissioner Lopez, Brett?
Yeah, the only thing I saw was the affordability. I really wouldn't even include that in there on that housing project. Sorry. But I'm also not a big fan of HOAs or CCNRs. So, but the project is slated for what was originally approved for those lots in the past. I can see kind of their concerns about the traffic, but you're only going to be able to mitigate so much of the traffic issue with what's there. So that was most of my questions got answered by everybody else. So just move the project forward.
Great, Fred. Thank you. Okay, so at this point, what I like to ask is if we have a motion, if we have anyone who would be willing to entertain a motion to approve.
Sorry, Chairman Wells, may I make a small statement? Sorry, we were on questions and I asked if we could come back around for a statement.
Yeah, I was gonna go through we could do our vote for it, or would you rather, do you have a statement that you think is material to that?
Well, I do think, for the record, I think there were, I appreciate very much the residents' comments and all of the well thought out and well considered arguments. And I just wanted to make a few statements regarding those, perhaps to help pull the veil back a little bit on some of this.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, sir. I made a few notes, and I do think, and I absolutely agree, traffic is a challenge. It's a challenge on my street. It's a challenge all over our city, I think. It just seems like everyone has more cars than they necessarily need, and they get parked in a lot of places they don't need to go. But I would like to just touch on a few things. I know there was a question, and I apologize, I didn't write down names, but hopefully I'll cover all the items that were questions. There was a question about possibly moving the driveway in Lot G to Heritage or to the Parkway. But the problem with that is it is so close to the intersection that likely traffic standards, driveway standards would not be met. It would be very difficult to meet the driveway standards for in and out traffic on Parkland or on Heritage. And so that causes a great challenge to moving the driveway. Additionally, there was a question about who would be legally responsible for keeping the garages clean and cars parked in the garages versus used as storage. And that is technically exactly the charge that the HOA has. As much as we don't like to agree to it, when we purchase a house that's under an HOA that has CC&Rs, there is a legal entity that has the right to come in and inspect those types of conditions. And it is exactly their role to police that. And as members of the public and of the neighborhood, this HOA, which is technically, I believe, under HOA law, they are a semi-public body, and they have to allow conversations with the neighborhood. So that would give you your place of recourse if there is parking going on or if people are using their garages for storage instead of parking their cars. That's how you can take action there. And then finally, in traffic calming and parking issues, dealing with the city staff, if those things start to come up and crop up when these projects are completed, going to your city staff and your city engineering department and having conversations about additional traffic studies or traffic calming measures is your best method of recourse there. And I would just say thank you all for your careful consideration. There was one more, down zoning. As Cindy mentioned earlier, we have had quite a few of our parcels come in over the course of the 10 years I've been on the Planning Commission, and have downzoned a lot of places within Spring Lake. But as Cindy noted, there is a law now in place that prevents municipalities from doing that, because the problem was, we have a housing crunch, and unfortunately, when you go from an R15 to an R4, you lose a huge number of houses, and each of the houses you do build become quite a bit more expensive and very unaffordable. And so the legislature has seen that as a problem and has taken action, which has really tied our hands in this instance specifically. So I think there are a lot of ways for you guys to engage with the city, and if problems do arise when these projects are completed, to try to rectify those. And I would just suggest stay involved and stay engaged. Thank you.
Chris, thank you. Okay, with that, we'll now ask if any commissioners will entertain a motion to approve.
Mr. Chairman, I will do that if I may.
Okay.
And
Lizarraga?
Okay, I move that the Planning Commission recommend approval of the Bigley Ranch Lot D and Lot G project to the City Council based on the identified findings of fact and subject to the identified conditions of approval by taking the following actions. Adoption of resolution number PC 20-12, recommending that the City Council, A, confirm the previously certified turn of the century EIR as the appropriate environmental review document in accordance with the California Environmental Quality Act. B, approve a plant development overlay and conditional use permit to allow the single-family small lot configuration at C, approve tentative subdivision maps number 5196 and number 5197, Bigley Ranch, Lot D and Lot G. D, approve site plan, conceptual landscape, and architectural design review. And E, approve the amended and restated development agreement between the City of Woodland and TL Partners X, LP to use and develop the two Bigley Ranch R15 project areas located within the Spring Lake specific area consisting with conditions of approval, and with the added condition of the pigeon proofing.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Second by Commissioner Lopez.
And
we have a motion and we have a second. So at this point, we will entertain discussion. And so let's start with Commissioner Holt. Any items you'd like to include in the discussion, Chris?
Yes, sir. If I may make friendly amendments, two of them. I did hear the clarification of and coordination of the Spring Lake single family versus multifamily, that 1 square footage issue. I would just ask staff to coordinate that. I don't want to dictate what it is, but just coordinate between those two. And then the other one was the future study of 1 or 2 additional speed humps on Hunt Street to be negotiated with the applicant and with city staff after coordination with traffic engineering.
Great, Chris, thank you. Marco, will you accept the
Yeah, especially the speed bump issue. Yes, I'm definitely willing to accept. the amendment.
Okay, so we have a motion and we have a friendly amendment to add the coordination on the issue of the square footage and additionally to work with the city if needed for any traffic mitigation, speed bumps issues. With that, so I have a motion and a second. Now we'll go through and I'll ask for your vote, and which will be a yay, nay, or abstain. So Commissioner Holt?
Yay.
Okay. Commissioner Hurst?
Yay.
Okay. Vice Chair Lizarraga?
Aye.
Okay. Commissioner Lopez?
Yes.
Okay. And Commissioner Wells votes yes. The motion passes unanimously. And so thank you for that. Aaron, thank you for your help on that. And again, thank you for all the individuals that participated tonight. I think that we made a couple of adjustments on this to address issues that were specifically brought up by neighbors. And Aaron, one of the things that I'd like to make sure that I'm sure that you guys would do anyway, but I would, with seeing how this is such a vibrant family neighborhood that is right next door, to engage the neighbors and certainly within once the establishment of the HOA and the board of directors to make sure the communication between the established neighborhood and our new neighborhood really takes off. That would be great. So with that, this item has passed unanimously, and we'll now move on to item number 2, which is the resolution for the parcel map number 5203, located at 1546 through 1556 Hutchinson Valley Drive in Woodland. Cindy?
Anna Canales will be presenting this item.
Wonderful. Thank you, Anna. Go ahead.
Anna, you're on mute, just so you know.
Sorry, let's try this one more time. Good evening, Commissioners. Anna Canales, Assistant Planner. The item before you tonight is a request by the property owner of 1546 Hutchinson Valley Drive for a tentative parcel map to divide 2 existing R1 single-family residential zoned lots into 3 new parcels for anticipated future residential development. The project site is located on the south side of Hutchinson Valley Drive. The subject property consists of 2 parcels with a cumulative size of 0.34 acres. The site is surrounded by single-family residential development and R1 zoning on all sides. On December 14, 2004, the City Council approved tentative subdivision map 4577 and a planned development overlay from R1 to R1 PD. The rezone request included parcels along the south side of Hutchinson Valley Drive, including the 2 subject parcels at 1546 and 1556 Hutchinson Valley Drive. The planned development overlay allowed parcels at 1546 and 1556 Hutchinson Valley Drive to have a minimum lot size of 4,000 square feet. Turning now to the tentative parcel map, here you can clearly see the 3 proposed parcels. Parcel A, a proposed 5,375 square feet in size. Parcel B, a proposed 5,375 square feet in size. And parcel C, 5,000 square feet in size. The applicant has indicated that they are interested in dividing the current parcel to enable future infill development. A Upon review, city staff has determined that there is a minor discrepancy in the way that the right-of-way is depicted on the proposed tentative parcel map. Staff have requested the addition of a condition number 33, which is proposed to state that the requested revisions to the map will be made within 30 days of Planning Commission action on the tentative parcel map and prior to approval of the final map. The resulting revisions to the parcels will still meet city standards. In the review of proposed tentative parcel map, staff found that the proposal is substantially consistent with the city's general plan, encouraging infill development, as well as the provisions of the city zoning ordinance, Plan Development Overlay and Map Act. With that, staff recommends that Planning Commission approve Resolution PC 20-13 for the tentative parcel map along with associated conditions of approval, including the addition of condition number 33. This concludes staff's presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Kirby, I think you're muted if you're talking.
Sorry, Chris, thank you.
No worries.
So what we'll do now is we will go down our list of commissioners and see if there's any questions for staff or for Anna specifically on this. And so with that, we'll start with Commissioner Holt.
Now I'm muted. I would note condition 14 is our habitat conservation plan, 14, 15, and 14 and 15. Are we, Cindy, do we still have a relationship with UCD biologists that would be able to help with this? Because I know this has been seen as an expense on some developments. I think it's a good thing for us to look at this habitat conservation agreement, but I want to make sure that it's not continuing to be an undue hardship on our applicants. I'm sorry, Anna, that's for you as well. I know we've talked with Cindy in the past. My apologies. Question for you, actually.
So, is actually in the process of working with the habitat conservation folks. They are the ones who set the process and the fees associated with this. In the past, they have indicated that one of their on-staff biologists, Jim Astep, would be available to assist homeowners on these smaller infill lots in conducting those construction surveys. And we continue to work with the conservation group. They just recently changed staffing, and I believe it's being taken over now and run by the county, and I think they're just getting their legs under them, and we are continuing to work with them on the processing of that plan.
Okay, great. Yeah, I just asked that we keep working with them. I think that's good. It's great for us to do. Thank you.
Chris, is that it? Okay, good. Commissioner Hurst, Valerie?
I don't have anything on this one.
Okay, thank you. Vice Chair Lizarraga?
I'm fine with this one.
Okay. Commissioner Lopez?
Nothing.
Okay. So at this time, we will open up the meeting for a public hearing. And so let's start with Jay. Do we have any voicemails or emails?
There are no voicemails and there are no emails related to this item.
Okay. And do we see any of the public that would like to speak in the public forum?
There are currently no hands raised.
Okay. So I'll ask now if any of the public would like to speak publicly on this item to raise your hand to let Jay know that you would like to speak.
All clear.
Okay. So seeing none and hearing none, we will close the public hearing and we'll bring this back to the commissioners. I'll just run down real quickly if there's any final questions. Holt?
No, sir.
Okay. Hurst? Valerie?
No.
Okay. Thank you. Vice Chair Lizarraga?
No.
Okay. Lopez?
Nothing.
Okay, perfect. And none for me. So at this point, I'd like to ask if we can entertain a motion.
I'll make such a motion, sir.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Holt.
Shall I read the motion, or we good with what's in the report?
I think that since go ahead and read the abbreviated version of that since we're on public meeting on this.
Yeah, agreed. I move that the Planning Commission recommend approval of the tentative parcel map 5203 based on findings of fact and subject to conditions of approval by taking the following action. Adopt the Planning Commission Resolution 20-13 approving the 3-lot tentative parcel map number 5203 and confirming that the project is exempt from environmental review consistent with California Environmental Quality Act Class 15 minor land division exemption. And I would ask that we add condition of approval number 33, which is the minor corrections to the tentative subdivision map before recordation of the final map. And I believe within 30 days was the other.
Thank you for that. Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
Okay, a second by Commissioner Lizarraga. Okay, so we have a first and a second. I'm going to run down real quick to see if there's any discussion issues. Any discussion issues?
No discussion.
No. Okay. First. All right.
I don't think she has any discussion issues.
Okay.
My mic is not working.
Okay. Thank you. Vice Chair Lizarraga.
No discussion issues.
Okay. Commissioner Lopez.
None.
Perfect. No discussion issues from me. So at this point, we will now go through and ask for your vote. Again, yay, nay, or abstain. Holt?
Aye.
Okay. Hurst?
Aye.
Okay. Vice Chair Lizarraga?
Aye.
Okay. Commissioner Lopez?
Aye.
Okay. And Commissioner Wells votes aye. And so the motion passes unanimously. Thank you, and we look forward to this info development being one of the additional ones for the staff to get done. And with that, this motion passes. So now, do we have any additional comments from staff? Cindy?
No additional comments?
Okay, Cindy, thank you. And how about going down through our commission? Chris, any additional comments?
None, sir.
Okay. Hurst?
None.
Okay. Vice Chair Lizarraga?
None here either.
Okay. Commissioner Lopez?
None.
Okay. And none for me. So with that, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion that we adjourn for the evening on September
Motion by Lopez.
17th,
Do I have a
2020.
second?
Second motion.
Second by Marco. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good. We're all good. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, staff.
Yeah,
and
thank you.
for the public that were involved tonight. Everybody did a great job. Very proud of all of you. Thank you and good night.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Great job.
Thank you. Okay, good night, everybody.